Alright, we are live. Want me to call the Economic Development Airport Committee meeting agenda or to order at 7 p.m. Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Watkins?
Here.
Mr. Weber?
Here. All right, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the January 21st meeting?
Yeah, make a motion to approve January 21st meeting minutes. I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? On the agenda for today, we have McKenna Laser from the Crawford Partnership. We have CRA Housing Council appointment, job creation tax credit, and airport farmland lease. Is there anything else we need to add to the agenda tonight? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as is?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. So first item on the agenda, I'd like to introduce McKenna Laser from Crawford Partnership. McKenna and I had coffee last Tuesday morning, and I reviewed our strategy when it comes to economic development for the city.
Yeah.
And we had a very, very good meeting. So I invited McKenna to come today, talk about where economic development, our engine is. So
Yeah.
McKenna, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. I came to a Galion City Council meeting, I believe it was October or November, and spoke for maybe 5 minutes, just introducing myself as the individual that is tasked with overseeing the Crawford Partnership. I started on August 25th as the executive director. And so I figured this is a really great opportunity for me to reintroduce economic development as a role and function for Crawford County, but also high level what the Crawford Partnership is designed to do as contracted economic development services for the city of Galion. And then with the anticipation, I have a draft ready to go of my first quarter report for the city of Galion. I will work with the council clerk to schedule some times, probably for late March, to come back and actually deliver a Q1 progress report. So I apologize if some of what I cover in this conversation is also what I reiterate in my following conversations for our Q1 report. But at least in the broad understanding, and I apologize for those in elected positions, you've already probably heard the spiel before, but for everybody else that may be in the room that isn't understanding about economic development as a function, I think that's what the purpose of today's conversation is. Ohio takes economic development as a regional approach. I believe it was during the Kasich administration, but it may have been an administration prior to that. The state of Ohio at a government level realized that for economic development to be successful for the state, it needed to have a confidential component to it. When you think about from a private investor business development side, they don't necessarily want to work where all of their information is public records, or they have limited abilities for confidentiality when it comes to their business ventures. So the state of Ohio realized this roughly 20 so years ago and created an engine known as Jobs Ohio. They currently exist. They are a nonprofit. They work, collaborate with our Department of Development and with our state entities. But Jobs Ohio is actually funded through the alcohol enterprise through the state. So anytime you buy a case of beer or a bottle of wine, you're actually supporting economic development. So if that gives you your deed, go do that. So Jobs Ohio is able to utilize that alcohol enterprise and utilize those funds of money to then incentivize business growth and attraction. So again, no taxpayer dollars are actually utilized through Jobs Ohio. But when you think about it from a statewide lens, Jobs Ohio as an entity cannot have a physical presence in all 88 counties. So they have LEDOs, like myself, which is Crawford Partnership. We are a local economic development organization. We are your boots on the grounds folks, but I will get to that in a moment. I think it's important to first talk about my regional partner, other than the state. So at the state level, again, because they can't be in 88 counties, there needs to be a necessary middleman that can be between me and Jobs Ohio. Because again, from Jobs Ohio's perspective, they're dealing with 88 different LEDOs, 88 different regions, 88 different counties. That can definitely be overwhelming, so they contract with their regional partners. Our regional partner is Regional Growth Partnership. We've been a part of that territory since they drew those maps. I originally came here from Greater Sandusky Partnership, and that was a part of the Team NEO region. So now I'm in a different economic development region, and they're a really great partner. They do a lot of great things for the Toledo region, and we are a part of that. And again, the reason I put them as a necessary middleman is they are quite literally a translator between folks like me, who is more in the weeds about local politics, local economics, the local things, and then Jobs Ohio at that state level, and honestly at the federal level, having RGP at the regional center point of all of that to translate between the two is really important. So, again, just so we have a broad understanding of the economic development model, you have the state at Jobs Ohio, your regional growth partnership, or RGP as we call them, and then your boots on the ground, your local level, which is the partnership. Now, let's get to the actual thing of what do we do for the city of Galion when it comes to economic development.
Can I stop you a second?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Who else is part of the regional growth partnership? What counties?
So 17 counties are in their region. It goes all the way north. They're physically headquartered in Toledo. So all the way up in like Hancock, Wood, Allen counties over in there, all the way down to Crawford. So we are in the southeast corner of that quadrant. So Wyandotte and over, they're still RGP, but you go into Richland County, they are actually in Team NEO.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sandusky County, or
Sandusky is RGP, Huron is Team NEO, Erie is Team NEO, Richland is Team NEO, but everybody else on the right, well, the left side of that, so Ottawa, Sandusky, Seneca, Crawford, Wyandotte, we are all RGP.
all the way to the end.
All the way down to Indiana, all the way over to Indiana. And then southward, there's a couple of different other regional partners outside of Team NEO and RGP. There is a Lake to River one that's on the eastern side of the state line with Pennsylvania. There's also a Dayton coalition. There's a One Columbus. There's Ready Cincinnati. So Morrow and Marion, which is our southern neighbors, they're, I believe, in the One Columbus regional footprint. But yes, we are in the RGP footprint.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Any other questions before I continue forward? Okay. And again, just to preface, I am only talking about economic development, which is really my role and function within the partnership. This does not touch workforce development and community development efforts that are led by Lisa and Ashley on our team. I can talk about those during our Q1 report. But for the context of this conversation, we look at economic development in two different ways. Business attraction, and then there's business retention and expansion. Retention and expansion is kind of looped into one. So from a business retention and expansion side, I can start with that. That is your current existing businesses. The urban industries, the Tramex loan, the Ivy Tech, all those things, all, our existing business base. I remember when I presented this, I shared this factoid to this group, but I recently attended a Jobs Ohio partner meeting, and they said over the last 10 years, 85% of all Ohio project wins happened with existing Ohio-based businesses, which means majority of Crawford County's growth will likely happen with the existing Crawford County-based businesses, just by deduction. So our retention and expansion program is really vital to ensuring that we have a constant touch point of what our businesses and workplaces are experiencing in today's labor market. Every 6 weeks, we have a program where we have Jessica Statler. She's the Senior Project Manager for Regional Growth Partnership, again, our regional entity, so you understand the broader model. She comes to Crawford County, and we spend a day doing business visits with companies across the county. And I try and keep it even. Again, as a county-wide entity, I have to make sure that I am spending my time frequently in all these different areas. So we try and hit Crestline, we hit Galion, we try and hit Bucyrus, we try to hit New Washington. If we can go out and hit a township, we definitely will. But that is an opportunity for every 6 weeks we are in front of a business and we are asking them pointed questions. What are your pain points? What are your successes? Are you projecting capital investment, job creation, retention? Even if it's 3 years out, we would love to know about it. The motto for economic development is early and often. If we know that there is a potential investment or project coming our way, we really want to know about it, which is why every 6 weeks it's vital that we are out and talking to companies. When we actually do have a company that is interested in an expansion, they're looking to retain their talent, they're looking to invest, expand their current operations. We do a lot of work on the back end with Jobs Ohio and RGP to line up incentives, packages, offers to them to incentivize that growth. A recent example is one that I haven't even been able to brief City of Bucyrus on, but it's been in the headlines a lot for Crawford County, is the Ivy Tech expansion that they announced in December. Ivy Tech recently announced a $15 million expansion. They're expanding a 53,000 square foot facility and they're creating 170 jobs. I would assume that there are some Galion residents that will benefit from that 170 new job creation over in Bucyrus. When it comes down to that type of process or project, when we have retention or expansion things, that project for Ivy Tech took our office and our team 3 years to get across the finish line. It ebbed and flowed throughout that time of those 3 years, but overall, that was the time commitment and investment that the partnership put in to get that business, their project. Very similarly, if we have another business in Galion that gave us a call tomorrow saying, I am adding an addition, I am creating jobs, let me know, let's get you a pre-vet form, and let's get things moving. So for people that may be watching at home or for business representatives in this room, if that is something you are considering, if it's 3 years out, please give me a call, especially if you are in a top sector industry that Jobs Ohio is interested in, manufacturing, industrial, some STEM and technological careers also, line up with that. There's real things that we can provide to businesses that are looking to grow and expand here, and that's one piece of that puzzle. Yeah.
So does the partnership actively contact businesses in Galion throughout the county to
Correct.
offer this
Yes.
service?
Every 6 weeks, I have a day lined up. For example, our next one is March 4th. I reach out to a handful at a time just to make sure I'm not trying to overload our day. We have enough for about 4 different appointments in that day. And so, yes. And
So they should all be well aware that this is something they can take advantage of.
we are always reaching out, and they are always welcome to call, because also keeping in mind that, yes, I'm coordinating a single day every 6 weeks. That means I am chipping away at maybe 5 to 6 businesses at a time that I'm starting to reach out to. So the BRE activity is something that I would hope previous Crawford Partnership administrators have come to talk about. You'll probably see a little bit more marketing push from our organization and from our entity to get businesses to proactively reach out to us as well. But yes, hopefully that answers your question. Yeah.
Another question you talked about, as you talk with people in Galion, what are you hearing as far as barriers, challenges, good, bad, and different, as you talk to local businesses?
From what I've heard, I haven't heard anything that's noting of concern, I guess is really the biggest thing. I want that to be the headline. We have yet to really encounter a business that is potentially struggling, I suppose, specifically in Galion. Any business contacts or meetings that I've conducted myself, BRE-wise, in Galion, has proven to be pretty positive. There are some companies that are experiencing a little bit of a slowdown or a slight economic downturn, but it has not necessarily resulted in the form of layoffs, and it has not resulted in reduced lines or production, which is all good things. But there is one company in the back of my mind that I'm thinking of, but there's no point in actually verbalizing it. But again, part of what we'll do is we'll check in with them and see how things continue to progress. But hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Things are going okay.
Good.
People are doing what they need to be doing, I suppose. There's another piece to this, which I have not even started talking about, is the attraction side. The attraction side is a mechanism for an EDO to essentially court a company into coming to Crawford County, whether that's establishing their first U.S. facility, relocating from another region in Ohio to Crawford County, or just a new business entirely. Business attraction is still very vital for economic development. Yes, I just opened up by saying it's important to support our existing businesses, but if we can get new businesses here, that's also equally as exciting. We, as the partnership, and again, as contracted economic development for Crawford County, we actually oversee a database on Zoom Prospector for all of our industrial properties and some commercial properties for Crawford County. It's available on our website if you're curious. It's on the Economic Development tab under Properties. You will see our Zoom Prospector listings, and I have a report printed out from what I just did this morning. We have 20 active properties in Crawford County as a whole. In Galion specifically, there's 11 properties in here. They are not all industrial. Some are commercial, some are retail. There's been some recent new features with Zoom Prospector that automatically populates properties, even though I don't want it on there, it just happens. But the business attraction side is also something to note. And one thing I will also regurgitate in my Q1 report is we do submit sites, for example, like the Galion spec building, when we do get project leads. So the lead piece of it is another layer. So when Jobs Ohio, again, at that state level, if they have a company that's looking to, again, relocate, start new facility, they will generate what is called a project lead. And depending on the region that that company is interested in the state of Ohio, they will then set that lead out to their regional partners. And again, depending by filter, if they're interested in Crawford County, I will then get the lead from RGP. Let me reference it so I have the actual number. I actually track the number of RFIs that we submit year over year, week over week. So the RFIs that we've responded to from August 2025 to February today, I've responded to 30 different leads. I will have to go back and actually give you the full lead count because I know that there were probably at least half of them that we could not submit a property in Crawford County for. And when I say that, I will also bring an example of what a lead could potentially look like. But it will give you the number of jobs, the number of investment, the type of facility that it will bring to the area, and then it will give you kind of a wish list that the company has. Is it a brownfield? Is it a greenfield? Is it an already buildable building that they're looking to move into? Are they looking to build to suit? Then if it's a building, it's what size of the building, ceiling clearance, then there's things like natural gas line, your electric capacity, your water line size. All of these things that I gather and compile when I have an RFI or request for information to submit for a project lead. I then work with Columbia Gas, AEP, utility departments to find out this information. I compile it all in a spreadsheet. I send it back to the state, and sometimes I just don't hear back for 6 months. That's kind of the process. That's how it works. It's not a perfect system, but that's how economic development works for Ohio. And so from a business attraction side, I responded to 30 RFIs for Galion specifically. I've submitted the Galion spec building 3 times of those 30. 3 times Galion spec building was submitted. And I brought in Galion spec building specifically because I remember when I last presented, Marcia Younger, she asked specifically about the spec building, so I wanted the community to be aware of where things stood with that. Steve Bridgeford with JNF is on my board. We've had a recent conversation as well about the Galion spec building. I think that there's some things that we can start doing from a marketing perspective, maybe leveraging our friends with Jobs Ohio to help push the word out a little bit more. But I wanted to make sure that this committee was aware from a business attraction side. We still do everything we possibly can do to ensure that any industrial vacant sites are filled with its best and highest use. That is my ultimate goal. But ultimately, that is just another piece of that puzzle. And then when we do have a business, say we do have somebody that wants to buy on the Galion spec building, we will handle everything for the site visit. We will host the company here. We will introduce them to our local school system. We will introduce them to our local elected officials. We will introduce them to the facility and let them decide if Galion is the right home for them, and we will facilitate those conversations entirely.
Are the RFIs a standard template, or are they different based on the need of the company?
It depends on the project. Usually, though, the RFI spreadsheet that I fill out is relatively standard. It's the same information, and it's a plug-and-play situation, but obviously the information that I gather is different depending on the parcel that I'm interested in. There was a recent example for a mixed-use hotel facility that I came across my desk for a property project lead. The RFI looked completely different, but that's obviously because they were probably looking for manufacturing, production facility grade utilities. For a hotel, probably not, but.
So is it safe to say with the 3 that you talked to, there hasn't been any traction with them yet?
No, there has not. Not for the 3 that I've submitted. I haven't heard back on 2 from the 3. So there are still 2 leads that are in the works, and it's just a matter of me getting that decision handed down to me from RGP.
What kind of feedback so far have you gotten that no one just bid on it? Because you and I discussed one of the concerns was
the cranes.
the crane inside the building.
Yep,
And the more I thought about that, that really depends on what business is coming in there.
it does.
Because you can put a standardized crane in there, but they may need something 5-10 times bigger depending on what comes in there. So
Yeah.
is there anything else that's come across that wasn't a right fit because of this?
Not for Galion spec buildings specifically, no. I mean, that one instance was in reference to one RFI, they were looking for a crane and just, we don't have that. Usually, one of the biggest things that I struggled with in terms of submitting Galion spec is the acreage and the ability to sprawl out and grow and have that whole parcel just be your own. And I think where the spec building is positioned, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. So I saw on your advertisement that it's expandable, there's 50,000 now,
Yes.
expandable
For another 50.
100,000.
Yeah, yes. And also another kind of key piece to this is also the job creation numbers that are tied to things. Recently, we've been getting a lot of requests or leads that are, I think, beyond what Crawford County can currently hold in terms of available workforce. And I'm saying we're looking at 1,500 jobs created. In that situation, for that lead, that is an issue where I don't think I could submit for something even if I wanted to. Partly because we didn't have the parcel, because I know it was like a 250-acre greenfield that they were looking for at that time. But I think another kind of key thing, which is why workforce development is becoming so important for Crawford Partnership, is we need the available workforce, and we do not have that right now.
So where do you pull the, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
Where
okay.
do you pull the data to see
Yes.
qualified workforce? How do you determine that?
I have data. I shot you an email just as we were settling into this meeting. I know I had to send you email or data last week, and I just didn't. I'm going to follow up with you on that and get that information over to you this week. There is, industry standard with Jobs Ohio is they try and pull a 45-minute travel radius for their commuting patterns. And so, yes, you could probably get an argument from Jobs Ohio that a county of our size could maintain an additional 1,500 jobs with the 45-mile travel commuting pattern radius that they look at. I just don't think that that's a sustainable path forward.
Okay.
I have an unrelated question.
Yeah.
Prior to committee, we were having a discussion about DORA. And
Yeah.
I was expressing my desire to find an organization to take the lead on that for us when the time is right.
Yeah.
Council Clerk Julie was telling us that you did that for either Bucyrus or Crestline?
I think you may have gotten us mistaken with the chamber.
No, actually, before, the people before you, it was done at the partnership.
Oh.
And the reason I ask is
Good to know.
because we, at some point, will probably need to find an organization that can help us take the lead on
Yeah.
that door. I mean, we haven't even got to the point yet where we've discussed it and decided it's something we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it is going to be something we're gonna do.
Absolutely.
So I'm very curious to see if a partnership would
I
take
will
the
start
lead on
brushing
that.
up on that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
One thing I do, because this is a committee meeting, I know it's a little bit more informal than a traditional council meeting. One thing I do want to make it clear, if you have questions, call me.
Okay.
There's, if it helps to sit down for a 30-minute coffee conversation like I did with Todd last week, I am more than happy to answer any questions, to clarify anything. And that goes to people watching at home. If there's any questions that the residents of Galion have, just because they can't be here for a meeting, I have an 18-month-old at home. I recognize 7 o'clock is tough. So if there's opportunities in which I can just ease the community on what economic development functions are truly meant to be, I am happy to do that. And we're also an open book. Our office is located in Bucyrus, but we are here every other Monday meeting with Brian and his team. And we want to make sure that, we just want to see Galion and Crawford County grow, thrive, and be good. And that's all I'm here to do. I come in peace. Is there any other questions, concerns? I mean, does anybody in the room have any other questions that I can answer at this time?
So 1,500 employees makes you a little nervous. Where do you find the sweet spot being that is the right spot for us? You can't put the cart before the horse, I understand that in some cases, but you can't build houses unless you have people. You can't have people unless you have places for them to work, but places don't want to come if they don't have people, so it is
a vicious life cycle, and we're having a very, very similar conversations with councils all over this county. It's going to take a multifaceted approach, which means we have to do a lot of pre-planning ahead of time to ensure we are ready. And what I mean by that is, we need to identify what our key problems are. And I know that there's a housing study that we've already done, I think it was roughly 10 years ago under Mr. Frank House. I know that there are data that we can, or data reports that we can gather to help put us in a more intelligent position, I suppose, when it comes down to our strategic plan. But I can't answer the suite number employment count just yet without looking at that data. I think we need to figure out truly what our available workforce is, because we just did a little bit of a presentation for OSU Marion, and our declining population is really being hit for ages 19 and under, our kids, our teens. And so really that then involves conversations with our education systems, with our business advisory councils, which gets into the workforce development piece that Lisa's been working on with the schools, and kind of career exposure opportunities to make sure that they do see that there's opportunities that exist in Galion. They don't have to leave, they can stay here and grow and thrive and have a family and be good. When it comes to the business attraction side, I want to be able to answer your question, but I can't yet. I will tell you, it's been kind of a safety thing for me. If there's anything less than 500 new jobs created and we have a site that we can submit it for, I will submit for it. The 1,500 jobs, again, the reason I also did not submit for that is because we do not have 250 continuous acres of greenfield that's shovel ready and ready to go. There was another piece to that. I only mentioned that merely because there's real ramifications to potential declining population or an aging population and not having the available workforce to plan ahead for the future on an economic development front. That's purely all I meant to say in bringing that up. But it's not that we lost the opportunity to bring 1,500 jobs here. That opportunity was so far in our future to begin with. It's just, there's some things we need to do first to build those steps and make sure that foundation is set so we can start bidding for those nicer projects.
I think young people are leaving because there's not jobs. And so there's not jobs because there's not people. So, we need to fix that. That needs to be fixed quickly.
I agree. Yes.
Housing.
Yes.
But
But Galion's been doing a great job on some of the housing front. I mean, there's some recent developments on housing, and while it may not be entry level.
At the apartment level, I think we're doing really well.
Yeah.
We probably don't do well more the executive,
Yeah.
upper. We're very limited there. Actually, we lose a lot of high wage earners out of Galion because we don't have the housing that they require. And some of the neighboring communities do.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm. Anything else I can add?
Kenneth, thank you very much. We
Of
appreciate
course.
it. Thank you.
Yes.
Some good dialogue to start. As you and I talked about, we're starting to see some small businesses that are choosing Galion
Yeah.
over the Bucyrus's and the Crestlines of the world. We got, there was 4 of them just this year
Yeah.
that have opened up in the uptown and close to uptown. So we're starting to see momentum. There's been Facebook posts as far as what people want to see, and
Yeah.
I got a page-and-a-half list of stuff that they'd love to see. So
Yeah.
think about the Crawford Partnership when you guys are looking at starting a new business in town, and they're a good resource for us to start.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. I'll come back next month and give my full report, but I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Next on the agenda is the CRA Housing Council appointment, which is Resolution 2026-6.
And right now that has a, crossed out because it was Missy Frank. And from what I was told, she is not interested in doing it again. So she was on council and was in that position. So you guys need to decide if you guys want one of you to be on it or how you want to proceed with that.
So historically, it's been a council member that's been on that.
Yeah, actually it was Aaron Ivy, since I've been here, Aaron Ivy, and then it was Missy Frank, and so it's just been second ward for for a couple times there, so, but.
Kara just appointed to that?
Yeah, Kara was on it, and she was just reappointed. So her appointment, so Missy Franks is now falling off or fell off, so December 31st. So.
work on that.
Yeah, work on that as far as getting some names of interest to be on that.
When's the next scheduled meeting?
Mandy just told me last night it's next week, and I know there's an opportunity that they're having discussion on for town, a sizable opportunity for a business. So I know they're having that discussion next week.
Okay.
I'll get the date from her.
High school property.
No.
May or may
Off
not.
of Edwards.
Okay.
All right. On to the next is the job creation tax credit for Flick, ordinance number 26.
Yeah, 2026-6.
Resolution.
Yeah, resolutions
Oh,
and,
ordinance, okay,
and
I'm sorry.
ordinance. Yeah, normally,
2026,
It's 2026.
yeah, normally they're not this close. Normally we don't have that many appointments in the beginning of the year, and we're not to normal 6 on resolutions till like halfway through the year, but you know, this mayor went kind of crazy with it, so.
Everything's done.
So they're kind of running neck and neck there.
All right, you mind reading that ordinance?
Oh, no, I have no problem. Hold on, let me get there. It is for, entitled ordinance authorizing the safety service director to enter into a City of Galion job creation tax credit agreement with EA Legacy Holdings / Flick Packaging Co. and declaring an emergency. And this is for jobs that they're creating. You have the agreement and the application attached. It says in year 1 they will create 3 jobs, and then year 3 it will be 2 jobs, and the additional payroll is going to be $125,000 to eventually to $200,000. And Miss McKenna Laser may be able to talk on this as well.
Actually, no.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe she knew about this. I don't know. So.
Yeah, I think this is, I mean, they have the expansion that they're doing. We just closed the alleyway for their expansion. I think it's fantastic that they're expanding. Business is doing really well for them.
So would our motion be to send this to full council? I'd like to make a motion to send this to full council.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Eric, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ordinance passes on council. And then the final item on the agenda is the airport farmland lease, which is ordinance number 2026-7.
Do you want me to read that?
Yeah, if you don't mind. So sorry.
It's like,
I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah, it's like, this is ordinance 2026-7, entitled ordinance authorizing the safety service director to advertise pursuant to appropriate law for bids for the cash rent farming of city-owned property located at the Galion Municipal Airport to enter into a contract for same and declaring an emergency.
How long is the lease?
Three-year lease.
And it's just up. And so we're, yeah, okay.
I'd like to make a motion to send this to full council as well.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Moving on to council. So that's everything as far as what's planned on the agenda. Does anyone else have any other business to discuss today? Yeah, go ahead, Nikki.
Housing Council is Monday at 5.
Monday at 5. Anyone else? Do we have a motion? Let's see. Next meeting will be March 18th here at 7 p.m. And without anything else to discuss, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Good.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
7:34. All right, okay, we are back online.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order, Police, Fire, and Health Committee. And everybody has, we'll do roll call.
Mr. Gribble,
Here.
Mr. Brown,
Here?
Mr. Weber.
Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the previous meeting, which was January 21st, 2026.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. 1 second.
I'll say, yeah.
Okay.
I think we did.
No. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That is approved. Motion was the approval for the agenda. We have the agenda before us.
I'll make a motion to approve the, well, I don't know, we're not adding one, right?
We'll not go over.
Okay, I'll make a motion,
No,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? Okay. All right, that brings us down to discussion items. First on our list is Health Department, Director of Nursing, Report of Services. Hello, ladies. Welcome.
My name is Brandy Robo. I've been the director of nursing for a little over 2 years, and we're just going to quickly go over the nursing programs. We have complex medical health or CMH program that just helps families with special needs children cover costs that maybe insurance doesn't, not just a local resource for them. I'm also a certified car seat safety tech. So through the Ohio Buckeyes program, I can give away free car seats to qualifying families. I can do education and car seat checks. I also do communicable disease management, everything except for syphilis and HIV, our sexual health team does that. So I just make sure that people are getting treatment or following up with a specialist as needed. I also do vision and hearing screenings. I can do that for the public, and I also do it at the schools. I can do blood pressure checks and blood sugar checks. And I can also teach CPR. Again, I'm a school nurse at St. Joe's, and I'm there all the time. I do the vision and hearing screenings and do education for staff. I check immunization records. I do lead poisoning testing and case management for any cases in Galion. And then, of course, we have the immunization food clinics. And then I do a lot of community outreach, farmers markets, third Friday.
She does a big piece of our health education for the city too.
Yeah, city schools lets me go to their summer lunch programs, so we hand out resources and things like that.
For the last, maybe the last 2 years, there's been an event that happened. It seemed like it was in the middle of the summer, maybe.
Community Connections Expo in the middle school.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's actually ran by a nurse for Galion. We go there, we have a resource table, and then my supervisor from the car seat program, she comes there and we do car seat checks. And that helps me get checked off. I have to be recertified every 2 years, and part of that is doing car seat checks with that she, checks me off on.
Maybe this isn't that. This was more like if folks needed, it was an event that happened, I want to say, that folks could come if they had, to get checkups, illness, to check
Bar
sugar
care.
and.
Bar care at Crawford.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's through the Ohio Guard. They go to a different county every year. And this past year was us, they got chosen.
They do it in partnership with the Ohio Department of Health, and they choose a different county every year.
I actually attended that. I would walk through there for a couple different reasons. That seemed like that was well attended, wasn't it?
Yes.
Seemed like a lot of bodies in there.
Yes. That was a really good event.
Thank you.
On the free car seats, I guess I wasn't aware that was available. How do people know about that? Just word of mouth, or is that advertised?
Yeah, I try to put it on our Facebook page. It's on our website as well. You have to be the parent or guardian, be a Crawford County resident, and qualify for either WIC or Medicaid.
Okay.
So a lot of the WIC clientele gets that information from Crawford.
Get a lot of
Public
referrals
health.
from them.
Okay, a lot of them take advantage of that. I think that's a great resource.
I'm actually out of one of my car seats, one of the types, so.
Okay. Well, I think, yeah, the whole car seat thing is, I know, one of my staffers is
Yeah.
certified with that. And every time I have to put a car seat in my vehicle, it takes 5 people to show me how to do it. So bless you guys for what you do, because I can't figure it out.
Yeah, the parents watch the video and I have to watch them do it, and they're like, oh, wait, I'm like, yeah, they make it look really easy on the video.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge for some people, but you guys do a great job with that. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, any other questions?
I think so.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Very informative. Police Department, flock camera project. Welcome.
This is just some information, some questionnaires. I'm not a flock salesman, so I'm just here. The school and I got together at the end of the year talking about a project, and they approached the mayor's office that wanted me to come and answer some questions about it, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what we were working on. So obviously, we work real close with the school, trying to strengthen safety, communication, things like that. The school had the idea of putting license plate reader cameras around the campus. Came through a couple different, we had a couple different meetings with Flock. They're taking the lead on it. The big ask that they need is permission from the city to use the right-of-way at the entrances to the school. So Portland Way, near Carter, Heisey, and then Hesby and Heisey. So the 3 main thoroughfares into the school is where the systems would go. The school would be running point on it. They're going to pay for the equipment and installation. My process would be, so the way license plate reader cameras work, they're tracking your vehicle or your license plate, taking a picture of it. But that information, if you guys are familiar with leads, like what we use in the police department, you run somebody and get their information back. If a private company uses Flock, they don't get that information. But if they partner with a police department, so they would share that information with us. We could see that information, but they couldn't see it. So it's just a way to speed up that process of getting us the information for something to happen out of the school.
I've heard that the security of flock is not very well, their security. It's the ability to hack into their software.
I've not heard that. So the guy that I've been working with on this, said the person that put this together, we spoke actually yesterday. He said if there were technical questions about it, he's more than happy to do a Zoom or send somebody for those types of questions. I don't know much about internet security.
Yeah, my biggest concern is internet security. I think this is owned by Ring too, right?
I'm not familiar.
So, make sure I got this right. We're looking at 3 areas for the right of way for 3 units to be installed.
3 units.
Okay, no cost to the city.
No cost.
The right of way.
Yeah.
What is the right of way?
And the installation and everything's covered with that program that they're putting together. So it's just the permission is going to let them use the right of way.
Right.
But they can either do it on existing infrastructure, so like a city pole, or they can put their own pole in. It just depends on whatever works best in the situation.
Would that probably be a current city pole?
Yes.
I would think.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably.
Are there any comments on
Well,
that?
I followed up, I've talked to Brian a little bit, I tried to do some homework on that, what I read in here is, this is from Mansfield PD, but I had, actually, Nikki and I had a conversation with Mansfield and the mayor and the service safety director, who actually happens to be the previous chief. They've got several out there, and the biggest question that I had was, what's the blowback? I mean, depending on where you sit on privacy and security, what's the blowback and where are you getting? And there hasn't really been blowback over in Mansfield on this stuff. As a matter of fact, it's been very positive on the stuff that they've been able to solve and the hits they've gotten that have resolved some domestic violence issues and shootings. I think the Anaka case is another example here locally that the flock cameras up at the border, flagged his car. They put the information in there, they had that information that flagged it. So it's a positive. What I've given you there is the transparency policy that is on the Mansfield website that would be on our website as well. It is produced by Flock, but it's telling you what it doesn't do. We're not out, it's not out there reading license plates and calling the police department going, Brian Satterfield just drove down Harding Lane. It's not happening. What it's doing is there are parameters that if Ryan or another agency is looking for a black Chevy Impala with a cracked windshield and a purple sticker on it, that's the parameters put in there, and they're looking for that because it's associated with a crime. I had a long conversation with the superintendent, and they're trying to protect the campus. That's the big, I mean, the secondary part is that we get some information that's coming through town on Portland Way and the areas, but it's really engaged to protect the campus. They still have an ongoing problem with the person at the schools that is harassing and threatening school personnel and staff. This would flag that guy's car if you drove up on the parking lot. It would flag and send the information to the police department, in which they can go up there and they can try to intercept it before there's an issue. Okay, we're not selling the information. We're not going out there just stopping random cars just because we want to, because the flag hit something. There has to be a reason to do this. The data, as you said, it's stored for no more than 30 days. If you flip on the backside, you got a listing. That listing of agencies that are involved with Flock is another 6 pages long. And the information so if Ryan and the PD is looking for somebody, all these agencies have these Flock cameras and they can flag them there, and it can be in Phoenix, Arizona, it can be wherever, and we flag back to the guy that you're looking for is here. Again, trying to combat the issue of, is there a problem, is Big Brother watching? And the answer is no. That's not the intent of this. It's to protect, right now the intent is to protect the campus and what's going on there. This does not take an ordinance. What I asked Ryan to do is come to council to make you aware of that and have a conversation so that you know what it is. I have a letter or a use agreement sitting here, and that's all they have to do is sign it, and the schools will put it up on the campus or on our poles right now. And I think the first one they're talking about, and they're run by solar. So they're going to be on Heisey Park, and be looking down Heisey Park. If you think about it, it's going to be eastern or north and south on Portland Way. It's going to be a car drive. So because it's going to be going at kind of exiting, so you have coming up on Hesby, north and south on Hesby, because it reads the back. We don't have to, Ohio's not a front license plate state anymore. So it does you no good to just put the cameras where they're coming into the campus. You have to get them coming and going. So,
one of the big, when you read the reviews online, the big complaints is they get confused for a traffic enforcement camera. That we're going to look at this camera and see you speeding, and then we're going to write you a ticket based off that camera. It's a big misconception of what they are.
100% absolutely not true.
What is the benefit of having them on the intersections that the school is asking us to put them on versus having them on the entrance and exits to their property?
So the big benefit, especially at Portland Way and Heisey, that's the main foot traffic. That's where, if you go down there in the morning, it's kids filing across, going to school, and then at the end of the day, it's them filing across, leaving, going home. So if they're on campus, you're not catching that. You're not seeing that if there is an incident there. And then also you're delaying that response however much more time it takes for that license plate to then be hit if they're directly on the campus. I mean, we're talking about an area of 400 feet from the entrance to make that a bubble around the school. So we know the comings and goings when school's letting in and then when school's letting out. So we see cars driving by at those times on those streets.
And I misspoke about Ring. I just looked up. They were planning a partnership with Ring. in October of '25, so a few months ago. That's what I remember reading. But it was canceled just this month, so their partnership was canceled. I just wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Could that be used for like Amber Alerts?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good benefit.
And there's a distinction between what our use would be and what the school's use would be. They're going to be the parent of the program. They can create a list of problems. Easiest example is, let's say there's a custody dispute and a parent's not supposed to pick the kid up anymore. They can flag that vehicle. We're going to get that alert. They're going to get that alert. For missing persons, endangered persons, they're not going to get those alerts. We're going to get those alerts.
Okay. Well, I love it. I think it's a great idea, personally.
Well, nowadays with, school shootings and the domestic violence and custody battles, absolutely, I think it would be very beneficial.
And one more clarifying, that there's no facial recognition.
Yeah,
That's
I saw
another
that.
issue that people
Yeah.
will bring up also, is that it's taking pictures of my face, it's taking pictures of the car and of the license plate.
Facial recognition, people, gender, and race are not detected. We're going to stand out. Is there a picture in here, the size of this thing? Okay. Will it actually be, will people see that when they're driving, or is it too small?
No, they're,
Might not notice?
if you know what you're looking for, you're gonna see it.
Okay. I think it'd be a good tool to stop the people who don't understand red means stop anymore. This is absolutely the truth. I was coming south on 598 today, and I was probably 5 cars behind this truck at the drug mart red light. And I saw it go yellow. I thought, there's no way in the world this truck is gonna stop. It was red, and he went barreling right through that thing. And I thought, I hope nobody coming out the other way is gonna try to turn right or left and not pay attention to that guy. Nobody did. But maybe that'll slow some people down that are barreling right through yellow lights and red lights. So I think it's great. So we don't need to take this to
No,
council, we can just.
I think I wanted it to come to council, to the committee, so that there was, I think you presented it last year. I mean, I know Kathy talked about it a little bit,
We had started the idea, but that wasn't with the school.
but this is just to come so that the council's aware and the community's aware that if this in fact goes on, what it doesn't do. Again, it's combating the negative responses before they even start, so that people are aware of what it is. I mean, if you drive in Mansfield, in a lot of places in Mansfield, there's 25, I think, cameras, but they said they're already in Mansfield.
30 in Marion.
You don't know it. I mean, it's not for us that are the law-abiding people that are out there that are, okay, and it's not stopping, we're not stopping somebody from running the red light. Right? We're not stopping somebody from doing 35 and 25 in front of the high school. That's just not the case. It's to protect the community, and right now it's to protect the school campus. And so.
I think we're all in agreement, sign the document. Proceed. Thank you for the information. Anything else?
And I mean, if there are more questions, like I said, the people at Flock, they will talk to the specifics of like the cameras and the frame rate and the stuff that I have no idea about. The internet security, if that's a concern, I don't have that information.
I researched and was looking at Flock and looking at their website, and there's actually a data center on their website that's telling you how many cameras are out in the United States, how many cars are how many license plates they're reading, and it's continuous. It's just rolling, and the number of license plates that they're seeing, and then it'll get the number of alerts and the number of hits, and it tells you what else is going on with that. It's right there. And again, I wouldn't do this if we weren't putting out a transparency policy. I wouldn't be doing this if people thought that we were going out there and we were using this to do enforcement. It's just not the case. It's
for the safety of our children.
It's a safety for our community.
Yeah.
It's not just the children, but I think probably we had the robbery here in the last 3 or 4 months where you had Valero and then the liquor store, and you would have had the vehicle description from Valero and hit it, and that would have, 100% they'll flag come through there.
Same with the Huntington Bank one.
Yeah.
You know, they were able to catch him, but that vehicle that was used, that was, would have been right there.
Yeah. So it's,
Well, thank you very much. Another great information, looking good for the community. Thank you.
I have an extra one of those, if anybody else wanted an extra to.
I can put it in a
Next-
file, so I
Next
have it
on the
in case
list
people.
is the fire department, annual report and EMS report.
You're not last.
It says police, fire, health.
there is a method. I may not have much influence, but I have some.
Thank you.
Not you. Not very much.
All right, we'll start with report.
Sure.
Typically, I give a comprehensive annual report on activities, which breaks down even which quadrants most of our runs go in, things like that. But we had an interesting year in which we switched software, and so all that data is kind of mixed into different areas, and it just wouldn't be as comprehensive as we like. But next year, it'll even be better. And on that issue, the new software is wonderful. So we switched to that October 1, I think was our go live date. So we would have 9.5 months of one software in 3 months ago. But unbelievable software, and we're happy to move to it. So what I give you was a couple of things, namely the Pulse report, which I submit to them. Obviously, as you know, we're a contracted entity for them. We run fire EMS, inspection. All of our services are offered to Polk, and they pay an annual subsidy for us, and we have to report monthly, and this is what I give to them. But the nice thing about it also reflects our annual workload, if you will. So you'll see the top categories: fire calls from this year, the grayed out area underneath was last year, so you're getting a 24-month look, and that's on fire. And then the next category down is the EMS. You'll see that add those together, we're about 100 calls busier this year than we were in 24. And then you can kind of look and see what percentage of activity on the far left in the pink, if you will, what percentage represents Polk. So it gives you an idea of what they're, and how we, I think a contract with them expires at the end of 27 this year, so we still have that going. But and at the bottom, you can kind of see what we bill and charge and bill and write off for Polk residents only. And that again, this report is mainly used to give you our annual EMS, the fire calls. You'll see we're almost 2,200 EMS calls to 500 fire calls. So quite a bit more ambulance activity than there is fire anymore.
Do we still have a contract with Crestline?
No. We did that short term while they had no staffing, and then they were able to get their feet. We didn't really pursue much more. I think that was the council at the time didn't wish to go any further, so we kind of backed out of that at that time.
There's nothing with Crestline, but there still is a use agreement, if you will, with Jefferson Township in the event.
Correct. Well, and actually there is that use agreement with Preston. They just don't utilize it and those aren't for mutual aid situations. Mutual aid being something that's too big for an entity to handle. Huge fire in Galion, foot fire, we call it, or agencies, and that's mutual aid. That's, I'll help you, you help me. What the mayor is speaking of as a use agreement is sometimes Jefferson Township, sometimes Crestline have no personnel. Well, that's not like services. That's covering for you when you don't have anybody. So there was a fee that went along with that, if you recall that from 23. And that's still an active in case it happens, and it happens rarely, but so. Right. Any questions on the Polk report? That's just annual numbers. Yeah. The next one, you'll see Medi-Count at the top. That's our 2-year billing review, and that is going to lead into our next conversation about billing rates. So you'll see kind of our breakdown of ALS, which is advanced life support, if you will, cardiac monitor, meds being given. And then ALS2 is basically we empty the truck on you. You know, you're getting defibrillated, you're getting intubated, you're getting more than 3 meds, you're getting a few things. That's an ALS2 thing. And that's coded that way for billing purposes. So, but that gives you an idea. When you see ALS2, that's where, yeah, we did quite a bit. Then you'll see BLS, which is basic life support. That's oxygen, no IV, bandaging, splinting, but no cardiac monitor, no IV, things like that, no meds given. So you can kind of see the breakdown. You'll see 25 transports out of that 2,100 you saw that we went on in EMS calls, we transported 1,443. So that's, and you can compare that to the year before. And then you can go down to 25 charges in review. And you can see that we finally hit over $1 million billed. As you can see, our collection is $511,000 for 2025, which is the highest we've ever by far collected. I mean, every year it's gone up a little bit. You see it's 490 the year before, 511. So some of that is what Medicare allows. A lot of it's better paperwork, getting signatures. There's a lot of things you have to do to get that run to be paid. And so I give the credit to the staff of making sure that we have all our data in, our signatures proper, billing information done from our billing company. And so if you keep flipping through, you'll see over the last 24 months, we're at 99.1% in collection. What we bill that's allowed to what we collect. So there isn't a whole lot of meat left on the bone for what we're doing currently. We're not leaving documentation undone to leave bills unpaid. So our staff doing a great job of that. And the rest you can go through. It's kind of interesting on the next page that says City of Galion 125 at the top that has all the wording on it to where our money comes from. You can kind of see at the bottom, payment detail, how much is auto insurance, commercial insurance, and those are what we're going to touch on next when we're talking about increasing rates. Workman's comp, veterans affairs, and patient pays are things that we can influence a little bit. The things that you're not going to change, no matter what we decide on the next legislation, if we decide to do anything, you're not going to change what Medicaid and Medicare pay. We're not going to change it. We can charge $2,000 a call. They're still going to pay their $300. Doesn't matter. So that's not what when we talk about the EMS billing rates in the next section, that's not what we're trying to capture. But that gives you the detail of where our money comes from and what sources. We are very high Medicaid, Medicare community. I'm sure the health department would agree with that. But that's who pays our bills. And then
You may have mentioned this, but charges versus revenue, what's the difference between charges versus revenue?
well, charge is what we send a bill out for, but let's say Medicare's, like I just explained, Medicare's a good one. We may bill $850 for ALS call, plus mileage and some consumables maybe. But Medicare only approves $300. You're not getting your $850, you're getting the $300. So it doesn't matter what we bill. So our charges are here, collection's here. So does that make sense?
Yeah, the
So
revenue is what you got, but the charges are what you
what we have. Okay. So then you'll see chart detail, yes. And on the very last page, you can kind of flip over adjustment details. Eric, exactly what you're talking about, what we have to adjust down for. That gives you basically where you're losing your money, where you're not able to collect on certain things. Again, you can bill 1,000, but you're only going to get a few hundred.
Chief, you should point out about the balance billing.
Yeah, so I was going to do that next. So, any questions on the run numbers and on the billing numbers? I mean, I think we're doing a great job as far as getting stuff in, 99% collection of what we're allowed to bill. We're as high as we've seen in that. So we're doing good with that.
Very good, thank you.
Moving on, if we could just flow into, or do we need to move on? Julie, did they have to do anything?
Well, I didn't know how, I couldn't find the other thing, so I will do the ordinance up and they'll just vote it onto the agenda, but now they'll know, at least know what it is.
Okay,
what
so
it
the
is.
next thing that we wanted, that it kind of rolls into and what Safety Service Director just mentioned is, the next thing I want to talk about is our EMS billing rates. Now, to start that conversation off, please know that we don't balance bill Galion residents. We use an OIG opinion that says whatever we bill, whatever your insurance or lack thereof pays, we accept as payment in full and write off the rest as your taxes to the city. Your taxes paid for our department, that's allowed to be done at a municipality level. Can't be done on a private service, but when residents pay for that fire department, EMS, through other means and other taxes, you're able to write that off legally, and we've always done that. And most communities do that. It's kind of bad business to hard bill your own residents. Crestline was the last one that I knew that did that, and I don't think they're even doing it anymore. But yeah, so that's just what we do. So again, even if you have commercial insurance, we call it Blue Shield, and we bill you $1,000, and it pays $750. We don't go after you for the remaining $250 if you're a Galion resident. But what we're going to discuss today is the non-residents. And not that we want to send them collections. We haven't changed our rates since June of 2012. We are way below the standard in the area, have been for a number of years. Hasn't meant a lot, but we've been advised the last few years that we need to keep up with the times. And where we can capture some is what we're talking about, the commercial insurances of the non-residents. We are well below, we're now at below what their EOB says they're allowable. So that's the data I gave you. This form looks like this there. It gives you a comparison of.
I was just looking at how many calls you had from Polk County,
Oh, that
That gives me an idea of how many.
Well, Polk is a resident.
won't count Polk,
Oh, you will not count Polk. Polk is a resident. They're
We
contracted.
pay taxes, we pay
Oh, Polk pays
taxes.
taxes too, so
Yeah.
they would count.
Polk counts, man, well, because they contract with us to Polk that.
And the trip's $19,000 a month.
Okay. So it'd be people outside of Polk and
And transit, I mean, it doesn't matter if they work here, if they live outside of Polk and Galion. Yeah, Polk is considered Galion for the purposes of our billing. There is no difference. But anybody outside of that, anybody from Crestline coming through, gets in a car accident, we transport them. People that work here, one of the factories, they have chest pain, we take them to the hospital. That isn't out of, their taxes, no, that's a bad example, but, because they're working here, but
But they don't live here.
correct, yeah. Transit people driving through, getting accidents, they are typically forced to pay the remaining part of that bill, as would you going to another community, even with the same policies we have. Cyrus, Crestline, Jefferson is going to balance bill you the same. So it's kind of something everybody's doing. It makes sense. I mean, they're typically not paying taxes for that entity, fire and EMS, and so that's just kind of the way it works. But this sheet gives you the breakdown of everybody, and this is one of many I pulled, but we pulled a lot of them around us, including Crestline, Desires, the top two, and Crawford. And you can kind of see where they're billing, and then you can look at the top of that form and see where we're at. And we're quite a bit low. Again, reiterate, a Galion citizen will not see a penny difference of what they pay on a penny. It doesn't matter to them if we charge $1 billion a call. It doesn't matter. What this will capture is the non-residents that utilize our service that don't help contribute to our tax base in any way.
30 to 50%.
Yeah, we're 50 to 60% under on some of those.
Yeah. So I would advocate, and I've got a couple of ideas here to put us in line, even probably less than still Crestline. I don't know where they got those rates, but what I think needs to boost us up next would be a mileage rate of around 20. And you can see where that would put us on that chart. A BLS rate of around 1,000. And again, you can check that chart. 1,200 for ALS1 and 1,800 for ALS2. ALS2 is the one that we really lose on, quite honestly. Because when you're using all those meds, utilizing all that equipment.
What'd you say for ALS2?
ALS2 is I would say 1,800.
18?
Yeah. And I was kind of going with our area, which is Crestline, Desires. Jefferson must have mimicked our rates and haven't changed theirs. And then you look at City of Mansfield, somewhere there was Springfield Township, and they were up there with Desires.
Well, we're still under Crestline.
Oh, yeah.
So you have that.
And then again, wherever you guys decide on that, I just didn't want people out there to think Galion's raising rates on everything, including EMS bills. Well, it would not. It does not a match.
Okay, I'm sorry, ALS1, what'd you say?
I would recommend 1,200,
Let's just keep going backwards, BLS,
1,000.
and the first one, mileage.
Mileage 20.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
reasonable.
I think so too, especially since I think we're the best department on that paper. And not even close.
You agree?
Why we let you go last?
That's right. We have the best health department, police department. You guys have thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's warranted.
Yeah.
Especially since it's been 13 years, 14 years.
I did it my first year being chief, and it slipped my mind for a few years. I'm sorry. But no, I just, again, because the residents pay what their insurance pays and don't get balanced billed, it didn't really become a priority. And it's just coming now because Medicare is starting to pay more, and insurance is starting to allow more, that our lower rates are under what they're allowable now, so we could be missing some dollars.
Yeah, I don't think what you're asking for is out of line.
No, not when you see the cost of the equipment that goes into that $600 and $800 call.
Yeah.
So how much work goes into making all the changes? Is it just a?
It isn't. That's the only sheet I didn't give you. For you guys have to pass a resolution or pass
In ordinance?
an ordinance
Yeah.
setting the rates, and then we do a couple of forms that I'll take care of and send it in. But I'll get that ordinance.
I'm asking because does it make sense to have a?
Oh, you can do it.
To have an escalator so that you don't, like, year over year, it increases slightly to keep up with.
You could, Eric, but it's really a simple process. It's your ordinance and then a paper, and they'll do it based on those two things. This is what we're setting. It's like setting park rates. You know, it's not that hard really of a thing to do. We just haven't done it in a while. It's, you know, like a politically expedient thing to do at the time, and now it seems like it's time.
To Eric's point, do you see other surrounding communities doing like incremental adjustments?
It looks like our surrounding communities have done it before us, because if you look at Crestline Services rates, I have this study that Julie made a copy of from the year before, and they were a lot closer to where we were to where they are. So they already did their rate increases like last year.
Okay.
I don't see a big need for the next 4 or 5 years to even consider it again, unless something drastically changes in the Medicaid, Medicare payment market. But usually you're seeing a couple of % increase of what they're paying more per year, so it'll be a long time before you reach that threshold that you would have to do it again. Maybe not 13 years, but I would say you're going to go numerous times before you have to worry about it again.
Again, even with what you're suggesting, in all 4 categories, we're still under for neighbors, so.
Right.
Would probably be if you want to go up a little bit more, but if you're good with that.
I just, right now, you're not going to collect that number anyhow. And no insurance is going to give us
That's what I wanted.
$1,800 for an ALS2 right now, but they may be at 13, 14, and in a few years be there, and that's when we should consider it. But right
Okay.
now, again, you can send them 2,000, we're still only going to collect what the allowable is.
Right.
Okay, that sounds good. So do we need to make a motion to move this as to council?
I don't have the legislation. But, and then what you'll do is I'll get the legislation done, then you guys will just vote it onto the agenda, and then as the committee chair, you can just say, hey, we discussed this, we just didn't have the legislation,
Okay.
and then, yeah,
Okay.
so,
Good.
yeah. So.
Any other questions? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Any other business? Please don't have any other business. Our next meeting is March 18th, 2026 at 7 PM. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
8:14.
Live.
All right, we are live.
All right, I want to call to order the Finance Committee meeting. It's 8:19. I'll do roll call. Mr. Richard?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
And Eric Weber is here. There's minutes that were sent out for January 21st regular meeting. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion to approve the January 21st regular meeting minutes.
Motion to approve regular meeting minutes of January 21st by Mr. Richard, second.
I'll second that.
By Mr. Brown, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda tonight, is there anything that needs to be added to the agenda? Nothing needs to be added to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as printed.
All right, motion to accept the printed agenda by Mr. Richard,
I'll
second.
second that.
Mr. Brown, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? All right, first discussion item tonight is the Internet Auction Gov Deals Ordinance number 2026-8. This is something that we do every year. At the beginning of each year, it's a contract that we have with the company, the website company, so that we can put various items up for auction that we have to sell, or we can't sell anything. We can't sell anything just like on our own. It has to go through a public bid process, and this is the platform that we use for that. And the contract for that is renewable every year. And so I don't know if anybody has any questions on it. We just need to send it to full council.
I don't have any questions.
So this basically just reviews our contract to do that. It's not like specific properties or equipment. Okay.
It's just
Mainly used by the police department, but other entities can use it. If we had to sell a dump truck, we'd put it on Gov Deals, or, a backhoe or something like
Yeah,
that.
whatever the city decides to put
Whatever
on
we're
there.
disposing of big property, but a lot of it's used by the police department.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to send to full council? Ordinance 2026-8.
I'll make the motion to move ordinance 2026-8 on to full council.
All right, motion made by Mr. Richard, second.
I second that.
Second by Mr. Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. The next discussion item is the CRA. No, I'm looking at it wrong. Okay.
Converting advances to transfer. Ordinance 2026-9.
2026-9, for converting transfers. Mr. Satterfield, are you going to go over this?
Yes, it's converting advances to transfers, and this is something that's been coming for a little bit of time. And we're basically, there's three ordinances that you've got in front of you on this ordinance. It's 2020-91, 2021-106, and 2022-14. These were all ordinances that advanced money, two of them to Cheshire Fund 303, and one of them to I think it was an airport grant line, coronavirus response relief grant, Fund 272. I'm gonna hit that one first because that's the easiest one. The 2021-106. This was a grant, was used for some airport work. Nikki submitted multiple times to the federal government to get the reimbursement. This was reimbursable, so we had to front it and then reimburse us, and we never got the money back. This is something we've been carrying on the books for 5 years now. And we're just probably not getting the $30,000. We're gonna continue to look at it. If we end up doing it, we'll just put it in the general fund. But taking that this is basically, this whole ordinance is cleaning up the books. Okay, we're carrying these advances, and the theory is that you advance money and get set back to it. Well, this is just converting those original to transfers so that it's not getting repaid. We're not getting the reimbursement back from it.
Will we delete out the fund line for Cheshire at some point?
It won't. I can make it. I can't anymore. But we can make it inactive. But right now, I think we keep it as a fund that's on there, which is with zero balance. There's several of those funds that are out there, but you can inactivate those funds Cheshires are different ballgames. The history of the Cheshire was that, and my understanding is that the property owners out there were assessed money. And we took out a loan and we paid it back annually. And every December, we would advance money from the general fund to the Cheshire line to zero out the fund. And in January, you would advance it back to make that fund negative. Basically, you were waiting for the revenue to come in, the tax money to come in. It was found out early on in this, and this was a 20-year loan, that it was never going to recoup the entirety of the loan. What we were charging the residents was never going to be enough to pay back the loan.
It wasn't done
To the tune of about $290,000 is what you're looking at here.
Yeah.
Now, 2020, in 2020, ordinance 91, we advanced $202,000 from the general fund to the 303 fund, and in January, and it never got advanced back. So that fund actually looked like it was zero, but it should have been advanced back to the Cheshire Fund. 2022, the same thing, $87,720.60 was advanced and never advanced back. We are getting no more money from the Cheshire assessment. That ended with the 2024 taxes paid in 2025 gone. The property owners are no longer being assessed for that. So this money was never going to get returned to us. So it had these been done correctly, whereas the advances back would have been done in 2021 and in 2023, I will take responsibility for one, but not both. That fund today would be sitting at $300,000 short. There would be a negative $300,000 short. All we're doing is saying that we're acknowledging that there is no more revenue coming in on those lines, and that we're going to convert the advances to a transfer, because what we would have done had it been $300,000 today, we'd be sitting here talking about a transfer of $300,000 to 303 to zero that fund out. We're just doing it paper. What that does is it takes that advance off of the line. It solves the budgetary problems. It solves our amended certificate problems. Those funds are going to be zeroed out now. How confusing is all that?
I had to spin a little bit.
Huh?
I had to spin a little
It
bit.
is. So the theory is that when you advance money in, the health department advances to their grant lines, and they're advancing the wages and benefits because that's reimbursable to them. So you're going to see some ordinances coming up pretty soon of advancing the monies for those three grants, the HIV, SED, workforce development, that their general fund, the 230 fund, is advancing to those. And when the grant money comes in, they're spending the salaries out of, I know we're twisting the numbers, but they're paying the salaries out of 230, and then they charge those to the grants. The grants come back, and that money gets deposited into the HIV line, the STD line, and then the STD line expenses the money back to the general fund. And at the end of the year, or at the beginning of the next calendar year, they advance that money back. So they would have recouped the money, and then they're making 230 whole again. How confusing is that?
But this money here, we're not
Getting any of this money. The money that's sitting here, it's already been spent. We paid, the Cheshire was used to pay back the loan. That loan is zero. The 303 loan is zero. The assessment is zero. The airport grant money was spent in 2022. I think we finished that late 21, early 22, probably. And I know that I hounded Nikki numerous times in the 4 years I was down there about this, and she's like, what am I supposed to do? They won't tell me money. There was 3 grants that we got for that. There was a 9,000, a 22,000, and a 30,000. We got the 9 and the 22 back when they were at the 30.
We're just not getting any explanation from the federal government why that money's not coming back.
They're telling me that I didn't submit the paperwork, and I'm like, here are the emails. Here are the submissions on at least 3 separate occasions. I called and I spoke to someone and they said, no, your paperwork's fine, everything's good, we have it here, we're just really behind, we're like a year behind on processing. And then I get this email saying, you didn't submit, but I did submit.
In other words,
Three times.
Available.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 2021 coronavirus grant. As I said, if some employee comes back and goes, oh, we missed this, and they click a button and they send us $30,000, we'll put it in the general fund.
There you go.
Because I continue to call, we have our program manager in Detroit, continue to bug him and say, who can I talk to? Because this was submitted, I was told that everything was in line, because I got this email. It was actually addressed, I think, to Upper Sandusky, and I said, am I good, am I not? Because the email was sent to me, but it was addressed to Upper Sandusky, so I just want to make sure what's happening here. Was this directed to me, or was it not? No, you're fine, you're all good, and then, no, you're not. So,
I have talked with local government services and people do the GAP state auditors to make sure that we do this correctly, and this is the correct way to do about that, is you're taking that advance and making it a transfer. So it won't be an audit issue or anything like that, but council has to authorize that.
And they did review the ordinance, I think Brian sent it to.
I sent
the
the
auditors.
city, so it should be good.
Well, that's unfortunate, but I don't know that there's better solutions to the things that are happening. So, I think we need to send this on to full council.
Yeah. Fortunately, as time has progressed, it's pretty much, I'll say it this way, lost to history, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, with that,
You wonder how they miscalculated the Cheshire stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question.
but unless, Todd, you have anything, I will make a motion to move ordinance 2026-9 on the full council.
Motion to move ordinance 2026-9 to full council by Mr. Richards, second.
Second that.
Mr. Brown, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next discussion item is the Health Department supplement appropriation, ordinance number 2026-10. Health Department wants to review the ordinance for us.
Sure. So we have to appropriate from unappropriated funds because the state is getting a lack of information on their grants. And so we didn't appropriate enough because we weren't even sure if the HIV grant was going to happen, but it did. And now they're switching some of our personnel positions in the two grants, like back and forth between the fund lines, so we have to appropriate money to cover the, I'll let Terry speak about it more.
So there are basically two sides to this. The first of it is we have our HP 25 grant, and the grant cycle for that was June 1st of 25 through May 31st of 26. So that period, of course, crosses 2 fiscal years as far on the city side. So there were some of those expenditures, particularly in advertising, where I expected those payments to be made in 2025. They weren't made until they weren't made in 2025. So I need to appropriate those funds in 2026. That award has already been granted. The funds are already awarded to us. We just need to get the numbers into the right lines to be able to spend the money that was already awarded.
And it'll get reimbursed.
And they're reimbursement grants. So once we make the payment, the grant reimburses us the funds. So there is still money there that we have to spend by May 31st, and that's where that portion is. The second portion is on that other expense line, which is the last piece there. That's where we reimburse, Brian was just talking about reimbursing our 230 account from our grants. So we had one position that was being paid under our ST grant, which expires at the end of this month, that ODH decided within the last 2 weeks that they were going to start having a portion of that employee salary benefits paid from HIV. So last week they sent us a letter awarding us an additional $38,750 on our 25 grant to cover those expenses until the new grant cycle for our HIV grant starts in June. It's just, and we don't know, as of last week, ODH didn't know what kind of funding we're gonna have starting June 1st. So we will probably have to revisit this fund in May, once we know, but as of last week, ODH didn't have a notice of award to know for sure what funds they would have, so.
They're having us reallocate money to cover, the ST grant ends at the end of this month. So that 38,000 that she's moving is to cover salaries and benefits for a couple employees until the end of the HIV grant. We do have an ST grant that's gonna start March 1st. They just hurried up and rushed it. But we think that the money that it's going to be decreased by is what they're going to make us reallocate funds for in the HP 26 grant that starts June 1st. It's just a nightmare because they don't align
With the city fiscal year, so.
and they don't align with each other either. So.
Right, and when we're budgeting in October, we really, there's no certainty as to whether those grants are gonna be there, whether we're going to get level funding, whether we're gonna have more money, whether we're gonna have less. We just don't know in October because those grant cycles don't line up with our fiscal year.
It sounds like it's pretty much gonna be level, but they're still reallocating money for a certain position to a different grant, so it's not the way we budgeted it for this year, if that makes sense.
Okay.
We will have to come back in May, most likely as well.
It sounds like it.
Right.
And the cash, I mean, it's a reimbursement grant, so the cash that we have comes in monthly. So we are asking to appropriate from unappropriated funds that we have now, but we'll have additional funds to come in to help cover expenses.
Yeah, we always expense that money back to 230. 230 covers the salaries and benefits, but then we expense it back when we get it back from the grant.
And a portion of our overall operating expenses, those grants cover. A portion of those two that we expense out our our gas bill, our operating supplies, all of that. The grants cover a percentage of those that we expense back every month.
So are they all coming from 230?
Now, those are all coming from unappropriated funds that we have in 240, which is our HIV grant.
Oh, well, I guess I didn't realize that if you were staying in the line that you needed to get approval on that.
Yeah.
No, you're appropriating unappropriated funds, so this isn't budgeted, as opposed to taking money from
Gotcha.
supplies and materials to, from maintenance and repair to contractual services or whatever, insurance or whatever.
Unappropriated funds.
This is different, this is unappropriated funds. This is adding to the budget.
Which the intention is to get reimbursed by the grants to come in this year.
So, yeah, and that's what I'll probably chat with tomorrow, make sure that there's enough cash to be able to appropriate, because if you don't have $45,000 of unappropriated funds, then you can't.
There is the cash there. The only issue was that additional $38,750 that we were just told we were going to get. But I do believe that there's $80,000.
Then you haven't advanced the new monies this year, of which, then you haven't advanced back last year's money, I don't think, so.
Okay.
I'm guessing, I don't know. I didn't do it.
I don't think so, but I don't get the paperwork.
You wouldn't need, there wouldn't be an ordinance for the advance back, but you would, there's always an ordinance to advance the money for this year. And if what we were talking about, I think I said it backwards earlier, they don't advance the salaries and benefits, that because it's reimbursable, so when they get the money back, it goes into the 240, and that's there, because that's being paid on a regular basis. The monies that they do advance are the supplies and materials, contractual services, and then when that's reimbursed, then it's, at the end of the year, it's advanced back. I think that's how we do it, right? But we do. It's one or the other. You're either advancing supplies, materials, and contractual services, or you're advancing the wages and benefits, and I don't think you're advancing the wages and benefits, I think it's
I
contractual
think it's
services.
the contractual services.
Because you're getting the money back quicker, or you're spending the money out of 230 because you're already budgeting the 230 for the wages and benefits, as opposed to you're not budgeting that. That money's coming back to 230 from the money that you're getting reimbursed. You're spending the money in contractual services, and when that gets back, it makes that whole again. And at the end of the year, that $40,000 that you spent, that you gave, now you've gotten it back, and it's going back to the general fund. Did I say that right?
I think
Did I understand?
I follow you.
So sections 2 through 7 are from the 2025 to 2026 appropriations for the HIV grants. And then what's the difference between, what did you say that the sections, I'm sorry, 2 through 6 was? The number 7 was, how is number 7 different than the 2 through 6?
Right, so we received a letter dated February 10th from the Ohio Department of Health stating that they were going to reallocate to our HIV 25 grant, which is the one we're currently working that expires in May,
Right.
to continue conducting activities related to HIV services and linkage objectives. The new project award is $153,000. So they allocated an additional $38,750 to us so that we could cover services for a couple of employees that were being paid under the SCI grant that now have to be paid under the HIV grant.
Okay.
So I think section 7 is salaries and bennies,
Mm-hmm.
and then 2 through 6 is.
In simple terms, they're allowing for more of the salaries and benefits to be covered under the grant.
Okay.
Instead of the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, instead of the ST.
Got it. All right, does anybody have any questions? All right, well, can I get a motion to move this on full council?
I make a motion to move ordinance 2026-10 to the full council.
All right, motion to move 2026-10 to full council.
Yeah, I'll
Mr.
second.
Brown, second by Mr. Richard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now we have, next on the agenda is the then and now certificate, resolution 2026-7. We have an unpaid bill we have to pay apparently.
We had an invoice for salt that's dated after the entry of the purchase order. So we have the funds available, it's just put in and out.
All right. Very good. Straight up, straightforward.
Yep.
Need a salt bill.
Make a motion to move resolution 2026-7 to full council.
Motion to move 2026-7 full council. Resolution of 2026-7 by Mr. Brown, second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Richard, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Other business? Is there any other business? I don't want to take quiet as no. Next meeting is March 18th, 2026 at 7 o'clock. Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll
Second by Mr. Richard, second by Mr. Brown, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 8:43.